Hey there, welcome back to Story Slices, where we slice through the best Reddit tales just for you. Let's dive right into the first story. The first one is the Tittle story, and it starts like this. I never thought I'd be the person writing one of these stories, but here I am. This all started about 8 months ago when my wife Sarah and I bought our first home in what seemed like a nice suburban neighborhood in Colorado. We'd done our research, or so we thought, but somehow missed a crucial detail that would end up causing us months of stress and eventually lead to a satisfying legal victory. Let me set the scene. We're both in our early 30s, I work in IT, and Sarah's a high school teacher. After years of saving and dealing with insane housing prices, we finally found a beautiful ranch-style house with a 2-car garage that fit our budget. The previous owners had been there for 20 years and were moving to Florida for retirement. During the closing process, they mentioned there was a voluntary neighborhood association that organized block parties and maintained some common areas, but it wasn't a formal homeowner association. This detail turned out to be incredibly important. 3 weeks after moving in, while I was working from home, I heard a loud banging on our front door. Opening it, I found myself face to face with Karen Matthews, a woman in her mid-50s wearing what I could only describe as the stereotypical, "I want to speak to your manager" haircut. "Hi, I'm Karen Matthews, president of the Riverside Heights Homeowners Association," she announced without waiting for me to speak. "You haven't paid your membership fees for the last 3 months." I was confused. "I'm sorry, but we were told this was a voluntary neighborhood association, not an homeowner association." Karen's face turned an interesting shade of red. "Who told you that nonsense? This has been an homeowner association neighborhood for 30 years. You owe $750 in quarterly fees, plus a $200 late penalty." "I have our closing documents right here," I said, retrieving the folder from my office. "See? It specifically states there's no homeowner association, just a voluntary neighborhood association." Karen barely glanced at the papers. "Those documents are incorrect. You have 48 hours to pay the fees or will be forced to take action." She thrust a bill at me and stormed off before I could respond. I immediately called our real estate agent, Mark, who confirmed what we already knew. There was no official homeowner association. He sent over additional documentation proving this, including county records showing the original homeowner association had been legally dissolved in 1992 after mismanagement and a lawsuit. The current association was purely voluntary. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The next morning, I woke up to find 2 large dumpsters perfectly positioned to block both our garage doors. There was a note taped to our front door. Per homeowner association regulations, these dumpsters will remain in place until all outstanding fees are paid. Contact Karen Matthews to arrange payment. I was furious. I called the police non-emergency line, and an officer came out to take a report. Officer Rodriguez was sympathetic but said it was a civil matter. However, he did document everything and gave me an incident number, which would prove valuable later. I tried calling the dumpster company, but they said they could only move them with authorization from the person who rented them, Karen. When I called Karen, she went straight to voicemail. My wife had to park on the street, risking a ticket since our neighborhood had 2-hour parking limits during weekdays. That's when I decided to get serious. I reached out to several lawyers and found one who specialized in property law and homeowner association disputes. Linda Chen had apparently dealt with similar situations before and agreed to take our case. "This is actually more common than you'd think," Linda told us during our consultation. "Some neighborhoods have these zombie homeowner associations that try to enforce rules despite being legally dissolved years ago. What they're doing is essentially extortion." We gathered evidence, photos of the dumpsters, copies of all documentation showing no homeowner association existed, the police report, and security camera footage showing Karen and 2 men directing the dumpster placement at 5:30 a.m. We also discovered something interesting. Karen and her board had been pulling this same stunt with other new homeowners for years, usually collecting thousands before people realized they had no authority. Linda filed for an emergency injunction to have the dumpsters removed and prepared a civil suit against Karen personally and her fake homeowner association for harassment, fraud, and extortion. The hearing for the injunction was scheduled for the following week. That's when things got really interesting. The day before our hearing, Karen showed up at our door again, this time with a man who introduced himself as Jeff Peterson, the homeowner association's lawyer. I immediately called Linda on speakerphone. "We're willing to be reasonable," Jeff said, though his tone suggested otherwise. "Remove the lawsuit, pay the fees, and this all goes away." Linda's voice came crystal clear through the phone. "Mr. Peterson, are you aware that impersonating a lawyer is a criminal offense in Colorado?" There was a moment of uncomfortable silence. I'm not impersonating anyone," Jeff stammered. "I handle legal matters for the homeowner association." "Interesting," Linda replied, "because I checked with the Colorado Bar Association, and there's no Jeffrey Peterson licensed to practice law in this state." Would you like to revise your statement? Jeff's face went pale. Karen started to say something, but he grabbed her arm and practically dragged her away from our door. Linda advised us to document the interaction and add it to our growing file of evidence. The next day in court, Karen showed up with a real lawyer this time. Judge Martinez, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, listened as Linda presented our case. She showed the documentation proving the homeowner association had been dissolved in 1992, the photos of the dumpsters, and the security footage. Then came the surprise. Linda had found 3 other families in the neighborhood who'd been victimized by Karen's scheme in the past year alone. All 3 had submitted sworn affidavits describing similar experiences: dumpsters, threats, and demands for money. 2 had paid thousands before learning the truth. Karen's lawyer tried to argue that the current homeowner association was a new entity, legally established in 2015. Linda was ready for this. "Your Honor, I have here the complete county records for the past 10 years. No new homeowner association was ever registered. What's more, I have proof that Ms. Matthews has been depositing these homeowner association fees into her personal account." The judge's expression darkened. "Ms. Matthews, would you care to explain this?" Karen stood up, smoothing her blazer. "Your Honor, this is all a misunderstanding. We're a voluntary association that works to maintain property values and community standards. If some people misunderstood the voluntary nature..." Judge Martinez cut her off. "Ms. Matthews, do voluntary associations typically block people's garages with dumpsters to extort money?" "We weren't extorting anyone," Karen protested. "We were simply enforcing our..." "Your what?" The judge interrupted again. "You have no legal authority to enforce anything. This court has seen enough." Judge Martinez not only granted our emergency injunction but also ordered Karen to personally pay for the dumpster's immediate removal. But that wasn't the end of it. "Furthermore," the judge continued, "this court finds sufficient evidence of a pattern of fraudulent behavior. I'm referring this matter to the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges. Ms. Matthews, you and your associates are hereby ordered to cease and desist all attempts to represent yourselves as a homeowners association." Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Her lawyer was already packing up his briefcase, probably realizing what a mess he'd stepped into. The dumpsters were removed that afternoon. But we weren't done yet. Our civil suit was still pending, and Linda advised us to press forward. "This kind of behavior only stops when there are real consequences," she said. Over the next few weeks, word spread through the neighborhood about what had happened. More people came forward with similar stories. The local news even picked up the story, running a piece about homeowner association fraud in suburban Colorado. That's when we discovered the true extent of Karen's scheme. It turned out she and her small group of cronies had been running this scam for nearly 7 years. They'd targeted at least 30 different homeowners, mostly new arrivals to the neighborhood who wouldn't know the history. The fees they'd collected totaled over $100,000, all of which had been split between Karen and 4 other board members. The district attorney's office took an interest in the case, especially after the media coverage. They launched their own investigation, which revealed even more details about the scam. Karen had used some of the money to renovate her house and buy a new SUV, all while claiming the fees were going to community improvements. 3 months after the dumpster incident, our civil case went to trial. By this point, we had joined forces with 6 other homeowners in a combined lawsuit. Linda had gathered a mountain of evidence, including bank records showing the transfers of fraudulent homeowner association fees into personal accounts. The trial itself was almost anticlimactic. Karen's lawyer tried to negotiate a settlement at the last minute, but Linda advised us to push forward. "They need to face a jury," she said. "This has to stop." The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Their verdict was unanimous. Karen and her co-conspirators were ordered to pay back all fraudulent fees collected, plus punitive damages. In our case, they had to pay $25,000 in compensation for the garage blocking incident and the harassment we'd endured. But the best part came 2 weeks later, when Karen and 2 of her main accomplices were indicted on multiple counts of fraud and extortion. They ended up accepting a plea deal, probation, community service, and they had to pay back every penny they'd collected over the years. The aftermath transformed our neighborhood. Without Karen's reign of terror, people started actually talking to each other. A genuine voluntary community association formed, with transparent operations and no forced fees. They organize block parties, maintain a small community garden, and help elderly neighbors with yard work, all the things Karen claimed to be doing but never did. Sarah and I still live in the same house, and we've grown to love our neighborhood. Last month, we hosted a block party in our driveway, the same driveway that had been blocked by Karen's dumpsters. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. As for Karen, she put her house up for sale and moved to Arizona. I heard through the grapevine that she tried to join the homeowner association board in her new community but was rejected when someone Googled her name and found the news stories about our case. Looking back, I'm glad we fought back instead of just paying the fees to make the problem go away. Sometimes you have to stand up to bullies, even if they come disguised as homeowner association presidents with fake lawyers and real dumpsters. The whole experience taught me a few valuable lessons. 1. Always verify what you're told about property-related matters, especially regarding homeowner associations. 2. Document everything. Those security cameras we installed right after moving in proved invaluable. 3. Don't be afraid to fight back when you're in the right. 4. A good lawyer who knows their stuff is worth their weight in gold. Linda still sends us Christmas cards. Last year's included a refrigerator magnet that says, "No homeowner association can block this door." We keep it on our garage refrigerator as a reminder that sometimes justice prevails, even if you have to fight for it. Yesterday, I saw a new family moving in across the street. Sarah and I brought them some cookies and a copy of the neighborhood newsletter, the real one, published by our voluntary community association. When they asked about homeowner association fees, we just smiled and told them not to worry about it. Some stories have happy endings after all. The end. The next one is entitled People's Story. Me, 24F, and my two best, 23F, went to university together, and immediately got close. We were inseparable all of the 3 years of studying. However, this summer we graduated and moved completely different places. We talk daily in our group chat, catch up over FaceTime. One of the two got a job in another country in Europe, and ever since she knew she was going to move there, we have been planning and been so excited to visit her for New Year's Eve. 5 days ago, I texted them to arrange a FaceTime call to start planning and booking our trip. Later that night, the friend working abroad called me and suggested we could come later in the spring instead, when it's warmer, and that she thought she might not get days off of work. But just now she suddenly posted a screenshot on her private story to Snapchat of messages between them that the third friend of had booked a flight for NYE. I just don't know what to feel. I feel so disappointed and left out. We have done things together before where two of us would hang out and not include the third, but we have traveled together many times and we always agree on that we have so much fun traveling together. How should I go on and approach this? I need advice, as I'm not the confrontational type, and we've never really had arguments before. I don't want to come across as petty, although I kinda am, skull. And also I don't want to be invited out of pity. I can't think of anything that would make them be mad at me or anything like that. Okay, writing this out I think I really wanted to vent, but also I would love some advice on how to deal with this. I don't want to create bad vibes between us, but how would you go about this with close friends? Maybe someone has experienced similar situations? Update. Okay, so it's time for an update. I'm so thankful for everyone commenting on my post and sending me private messages. Thank you so much for your insight. It has really helped me to think this all through. I wrote the post crying in the bathroom while working my night shift. Went to bed with 2 comments, and after sleeping for almost 12 hours I woke up to 100. At this point, the whole day had almost gone by. Night shift week equals I slept all Friday, and I still hadn't heard from them. Honestly, I got so mad and had no hope left that I would. While trying to read through all of the comments on here and decide on what to do, I got a text in the group chat she had booked a flight, and that I should join that one. I waited until after breakfast before I replied haha, but ultimately answered that I didn't understand, that I did not feel welcome to join when they had already planned it all without me. The last thing I heard was that we should do it later, and then I find out via your Snapchat story? They immediately told me that was not their intention at all. They said they were really sorry I felt that way, and didn't want me to feel excluded. A broad girl called me on FaceTime immediately and she told me they hadn't really spoken that much at all, and that it was a spontaneous decision that Flight Girl had made minutes before the Snapchat post was made. She said she understood why I felt the way I did, but that she always hoped I would come along as well. Later I got a FaceTime call from Flight Girl. She tried to explain how she had felt the need to just book the flight after debating for so long if she could afford it, and that she ultimately just decided to do it, that we had been talking about it for so long and didn't want to wait any longer. She repeatedly said she was sorry she didn't consult me first. She also knew that a broad girl might have to work, but that she wanted to go anyways. I admit that I didn't get to say all I wanted to say, and I should have taken the tip of writing it down before I got on the calls. In my head it just doesn't make sense to be hyped for a girls' trip and to just book by themselves if they were really excited for me to come along. I just felt it wasn't like them to do it like that when we've always arranged meetups for these things earlier. Booking, planning, hyping, Pinterest boards ++. Although I don't think I got to express this as much as I would like looking back, I feel like they understood. I guess them texting me first was what I hoped for, but I still feel a little weird about it. I don't know if I'm going to go, but honestly I don't think I will. Me, trying to avoid conflict as usual, told them I had to look into if I would get days off work as well. A lot of you guys thought I should cut them off, and had I never got that text first, I honestly don't know where I would stand. Not saying they made up for it. I still think it was really shitty. But I think they know that now. I feel lighter. Had I not talked to them today, I don't think I would be over it easily. These are close friends. I know and love them on such a deep level, and they know and love me. But for now they know where I stand. If something like this happens again, it will not be taken lightly. I don't know if I'm just naive at this point. I certainly hope I'm not, but it's not like them to keep me in the dark on purpose, and I hope they understand how much my heart sank when I saw that Snapchat post. I'm so sorry to hear about your experiences with shitty friends in the comments, and I feel for you and admire you for standing your ground and cutting them off. I'm trying to reflect on how I should navigate this friendship from now on, and be a little observant too if it becomes a pattern when it comes to these friends. Please let me know if you have opinions on this, or questions, or anything at all. Peace. Didn't realize this post turned out so long. Also sorry for my English, my dudes. Can't remember the last time I wrote something in English. Norwegian keyboard. The next one is entitled People's Story. I have been dating my boyfriend, 20 meters, since September 2017, but we have been seeing each other since June 2016. We are long distance, 6 hours apart by car, and see each other about once a month if we're lucky. We've had a lot of ups and downs, but ultimately we care about each other and just want each other to be our happiest and healthiest. I posted earlier this week about an incident that happened this past weekend where an old friend of mine tried to kiss me. He was drunk and initially tried to kiss me on the mouth. I pulled away, and he again tried to kiss my neck, leaving a bruise. I bruise incredibly easily as I have very fair skin and poor circulation. The entire incident lasted no more than a few seconds. I did not expect or want this to happen, and I thought the friend in question knew I had a boyfriend. I actually thought he also had a girlfriend up until he kissed me, so it definitely caught me off guard. Once I firmly expressed to him I wasn't interested and had a boyfriend, he backed off, and the rest of the night went normally. I don't have any plans to hang out with this friend again. The next day, my boyfriend was already at work when I woke up, where he has limited access to this phone. I planned to FaceTime him and tell him what happened when he got off work. However, he noticed the bruise on my neck in a Snapchat before I could tell him myself. I hadn't even noticed it was there because, as I said, it was no more than a few seconds, and it didn't occur to me that there could even be a bruise there from so short a time. He called me when he finished work, and I explained what had happened, but by that point he had been stewing over it for over 5 hours, and was furious with me. I understand that I shouldn't have put myself in a position where someone thought I would be receptive to a kiss, but I also can't control other people's actions or the past, and I have been trying to earn his trust back since. However, he remains absolutely livid. In other news, for the past few years, my Snapchat account has signed me out constantly on my phone, forcing me to log back into the account sometimes as frequently as multiple times a day. I submitted several maintenance requests to the app, and Monday they notified me that they had sent a customer service email to my spam email account, which I seldom use, and hadn't looked at in years. When I signed into the account to view the email, I noticed several other emails from the app over the past year. Most notably, there were a series of emails from August 3rd to 6th, 2017 informing me that someone had connected to my account on those specific dates from a specific location in a neighboring country. My boyfriend and a few of our mutual friends happened to be on vacation in that exact place on those exact dates. We were not dating at that time. I have confirmed the dates of that trip with someone else who was there. Nobody else on that trip goes to college with my boyfriend, or within 75 miles of there. Getting fearful, I went on the Snapchat website and downloaded my data, which basically gives you all the data the company has stored about your account over a certain period. This data included the location history of where my account has been accessed for the last 2 months, with each data point consisting of a date, time, latitude, and longitude of where the account was used. It revealed that dozens of times over the last 2 months, sometimes as often as multiple times in the same day, my account was accessed from where my boyfriend lives. These data points are very specific, 3 decimal points, and correspond to directly over his house, various buildings on his campus, and other places in his college town that he frequents. They all are on dates that I was definitely in my own college town, 400 miles away. You can actually watch me and whomever fight for control of the account, with me signing in 1 hour, then it signing in from his town the next hour, and us going back and forth for a while. The data only goes back 2 months, but the emails and pattern of Snapchat logging me out, which is their attempt at security, when you log into an account on one device it force logs it out on all others, indicate that it has been going on with this level of regularity for over a year. I confronted my boyfriend about this as soon as I found out. He was initially indignant, then horrified once I presented him with all the evidence. He empathically maintains that it isn't him doing it. He can't provide any other explanations, and his best guess is that he is being framed, although he has no idea by whom. He has said a few times that if I need to find an explanation, He'll let his reputation take the hit, because he loves me that much and hates to see how this is hurting me. He has now also shifted the conversation back to the incident from this weekend, and is saying that what point would he have to lie, because he thinks I fucked someone else anyways, which he had not told me before that he thought. This is an especially sensitive subject for me because 2 years ago, I was most likely hurt by a very close friend, but I have only been able to put together what happened after the fact based on other knowledge. Not having a clear answer or knowing for sure about what happened then absolutely tore me apart, and still fucks with me immensely. My boyfriend knows all this, and helped me through all the fallout of that. I don't want to believe he would lie to me after seeing how much not knowing what happened there destroyed me. Snapchat is my main method of communication for a lot of my friends, and I save all my direct messages on the app so that I can reference them later. For over a year, someone has been going through my photos, my messages, seeing who I talk to, and watching me without my knowing, and I can't find any other explanations for all the info besides that it was my boyfriend. To not know what happened here will absolutely destroy me, and he knows this. I so desperately want to believe it's anything else, and I want to trust him, like I want him to trust that I didn't sleep with my friend, but I just can't find any answers. My question is, does anyone have any other possible explanations for what could have happened besides the obvious? What should I do now? And how can I convince my boyfriend I didn't sleep with my friend without compromising my feelings here? Are you hungry for more slices of stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to never miss out on any videos. See you tomorrow at Story Slices.